the young core that they had, they're hungry to get
Yeah,
that
I thought
championship.
it's a steal because finally they get somebody that can pass the ball, man.
Finally,
Kamusta mga Insans? Welcome back to another episode of Insans Out of Basketball, your Pinoy podcast for your NBA, Vancouver, and Filipino hoops
Yes, sir.
discussions with your Insans, Intan.
And Insan, Jello, welcome back mga Insan. So today, our second segment here, we'll be talking about, there's already, on the first week, the free agency has started and there's already so many moves. And, for us, we can talk about it maybe for like 8 hours straight. I'll be serious. We should probably do a live stream just doing that. But me and Intan have picked the biggest winners of free agency so far, the first week. And before we dive deep, don't forget to like, to subscribe, to comment. Tell us how you feel about this free agency reactions, Stan. But let's start. Let's start with the West. It started with the West, basically.
Mm-hmm.
The first team here is the Houston Rockets. And they're not done. They were not done with the KD trade. What else did they get?
Houston Rockets already got better with KD, just KD. But you know what? They said, oh, we're not done. Yeah. You know that guy from the Lakers who shot 41%, I think, from three last season? Dorian Finney-Smith? Yeah, we'll take that guy. Clint Capela,
What?
a former Rocket. Yeah, we're going to steal that from Hawks. They're going all in, man. They're going all in. They signed Jabari Smith Jr. 5 years, 122. I think they're up there in the West right now. They were already up there with KD, but they're solidifying their lineup. They're getting these bigs. They're getting these forwards. I think they're ready. They're ready to be up there.
And it's not like done. We still have Fred VanVleet who opted out of his deal to basically have more space. And then Aaron Holiday, Jeff Green, Jay Sean State, they're all back for veteran minimum, which is their core, basically veteran from last year. And again, we talked about it last pod. Steven Adams got an extension and basically is coming back for the Houston Rockets. So right now, we have Clint Capela, we have Steven Adams, and then they have another center.
Good.
And Sengun.
Who could play the 4 too, yeah.
Who could play a 4. They basically have 3 centers. And right now, our 2 teams that me and Intan watch, they don't even have a center. Just point, like, what the hell is going on? But as I said to Intan, the rich get richer, right? This is a team that is basically all in. And they have KD on the rental, basically, Tan.
Yes.
And I think they're trying to prove to KD that, hey, we're with you, man. We were with you, that we need to get this win this year. So early predictions, Houston Rockets 2026
Come to
champions.
find out the next segment. Come to find out the next segment.
I feel like I already spoiled it for us. But I think the Houston Rockets have made the right moves, and this is, they were so close. They were number 2 last year, and unfortunately, they were so close. And I think we were kind of picking them, but it was just they were young, and now they have added this veteran team. Basically, I think they really have a chance, and they're hungry. I think the young core that they had, they're hungry to get that championship.
I thought last year they were already a good defensive team.
Very much so.
Steven Adams, Jabari Smith, and now they're adding Clint Capela and Finney-Smith. And then I thought they just needed an offensive push, and they got more than a push. All right,
With
they got
DFS.
the biggest push in this free agency with KD, and I think they're gonna rocket up this standings next season. So
yeah, and Houston's gonna be fun to watch, and you'll see why. But I think the biggest part here is they got 3 centers because they are wary of everyone's health, and I think this is gonna play an important role going into like playoffs. If someone is hurt, there's another man up that can basically they have so much depth, and I think this is gonna play an important role. And they're doing the right things, and I don't think they're done. To be honest with you, I don't think they're done yet. So the next team here, Tan, is the Dallas Mavericks, which out of everyone, they basically had one move so far this free agency, and that's with D'Angelo Russell, the former Laker, is going to Dallas, going back with AD for 2 years, 13 million. And I thought this was a discount. Don't you think, Tan? This was a really good discount for the Dallas Mavericks. What's your thoughts?
yeah, I mean, when SGA is getting 70 mil a year, these are change, man.
Yep.
This is change for the Dallas Mavericks, and Like I was saying, they are trying to put Cooper Flag at point guard, but you can't just rely on a rookie for your playmaking ability. And I think D'Angelo Russell is a great addition to them. He has some experience,
Mm-hmm.
some playoff experiences. He has been the one guy for his past teams that they rely on for playmaking
Mm-hmm.
ability. So I think it's gonna help them. He has some connection with AD, so I think that's gonna help the team tremendously. And yeah,
And that's what I was gonna say. I think that chemistry with AD is gonna be important because still, even though we had Cooper Flag now, Anthony Davis still your number one for the season. I believe so, right? And having D'Angelo Russell and Kyrie
hmm
as kind of like your veteran with Cooper Flag, this is going into the right directions for the Dallas Mavericks.
and I keep forgetting to say his name, but Clay Thompson is still a
Clay
reliable
Thompson is still
guy.
there, yeah,
He's still a reliable
and
guy.
they played
At
together
the
at
at
Warriors,
the
right?
true, that's true. Yeah, yeah.
So
He's still a reliable
they,
shooter, which is
yeah.
very important for this game, man.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be important, and I think Nico Harrison. I think he's been making the right moves, right? We haven't even talked about him for a while, but
He
let's
might
just
have
see.
he
Let's
might
just
have
see.
done the unthinkable, man. He
He
might have
might
done
have.
something.
He might have. And going into the last two West teams here with Clippers and Denver Nuggets, then Clippers. I feel like they're quietly creeping in, and that's why we wanted to talk about them for a bit. Here is they added Brook Lopez, which everyone
Mm.
thought was going to the Lakers for 2 years, 18 million. James Harden opted out his old deal and coming back with basically another discount, which is not really a
No,
discount.
it's a good one actually.
Wait, he opted out and get a better. Oh my god, he got a better deal. 2 years,
Yeah, he got a better deal.
81.5 million, and then Nicholas Batum was also coming back for 2 years, 11.5 million. And I think they also had some other smaller free agent moves here, but Brook Lopez. And again, I feel like there isn't a lot of bigs here in the league right now that can make a big impact. And Brook Lopez is one of those players, right? Then they
Yeah.
basically stole it from the East, from the Bucks, and I think Clippers. West is very stacked, and I think they're still solidifying themselves to be a playoff spot by adding Brook Lopez.
Yeah. I think Clippers, with Kawhi looking healthier, as the healthiest we've seen him for
Hmm.
the past seasons, I think they could make a 1 or 2 year push right now. You have Kawhi looking good, James Harden looking good, Zubac looking good, Norman Powell looking good. Why not add a veteran,
Yep.
a championship guy from Milwaukee Bucks, Brook Lopez, who can shoot three, who can defend the paint, still capable, man. And they got him for a steal with like we've been saying, with the money they're throwing out right now, 9 million a year
That
for
is
a for a center with that kind of skill set. That's rare, man. That's rare.
very much rare. And I think again, like West is gonna be stacked. West already has Victor Wembanyama in that center position, and this is gonna be important for that playoff push. And I think we're gonna talk about it in the next segment on why this will be important because the
Mm.
standings are. Ooh, I'm excited for this next segment. But yeah, the
Yeah.
last thing here. I think this happened basically just 24 hours ago. All these trades, very underrated moves by Denver Nuggets. First thing here, Michael Porter Jr., part of that trio, the three-handed buster in Denver, is now gone. But they got
Mm.
Cam Johnson from Brooklyn Nets. He's now part of the Denver team. And might I say, this guy is basically an upgrade. I'm sorry, MPJ, but this guy is an
Mm.
upgrade for the Denver. They got Bruce Brown back, who was part of their
Mm.
championship back in
For a
2023,
minimum, for a minimum
for a
deal.
veteran minimum.
Very
Jonas
minimum.
Valanciunas,
A backup, a decent backup.
a backup center. And again, Jokic was playing 40 minutes, almost 41 minutes in the playoffs. And now they have Jonas Valanciunas, who can alleviate, that 41 minutes for the Jokic, for the Joker. And yes, they got rid of MPJ, they got rid of Darius Saric, but I think all of this three is gonna be a key part of their playoff run. And I think, might I dare, they might be a top three team still in the West.
And we'll see in the next segment, but Denver Nuggets, like you said, Cam Johnson, that might have been an upgrade from MPJ.
A steal,
That
man.
might
It's
have
a
been
steal.
it's a steal because finally they get somebody that can pass the ball, man.
Finally, other than, yeah.
MPJ, man, keep shooting every time they give him the ball doesn't come back to anybody, man. And Cam Johnson has that ability to pass the ball. So
Nets is gonna have a 60 points, points per game between MPJ and Cam Thomas and 1 assist. So they have half assists each. And I don't know how they're gonna do it. I don't know what Brooklyn's doing. But I think Denver Nuggets has made the right moves for this first week of free agency time. And,
Sir.
we gotta go to the East because the East is
Mm.
also very much stacked, and everyone is making the moves that we thought that we wouldn't see for an East because, as we said from last time, the East is so wide open. And who made the big deal, Tan? Talk about this first team.
The biggest move in the East comes from the team with the best player in the East, and that is the Milwaukee Bucks.
Ooh, the best
You
player.
know, there were a lot of talks with Milwaukee Bucks with Giannis possibly leaving, but you know what? Milwaukee said, you know, we're not giving up.
We're not giving up.
We're gonna give you another guy. We're gonna try again. We're gonna give you Myles Turner for 4 years. I don't know if this number is right, but 53 mil.
That doesn't seem right. But
That doesn't seem right. But they got
while you're
Myles.
looking into it, Myles
Yes.
Turner as part of your backcourt here with Giannis. Not even that, Gary Harris, right?
Mm.
They got Bobby Portis back. They got Gary Trent Jr. back and Kevin Porter Jr. And I still think he's somewhat underrated here in this free agency. Again, they have enough pieces to make a run for it, right? Yes, Brook Lopez was a big loss going into the Clippers, but you're in the East. And again, who was in the finals? Indiana Pacers. They lost their center. So again, you just created this wide open spot for the East, and you basically have a runway for the finals here. And that's if Giannis stays with the Milwaukee Bucks. And again, we need to talk about this very briefly, very quickly. Damian Lillard waived because he was injured. He's gonna be part of their, they're gonna have to pay him 22 million, I believe, per year for the next 5 years.
Yes.
But he's not a Bucks anymore. This is the end of the era, and it's not gonna sink in right away for everyone. But we've seen the last of the Damian Lillard and Giannis combo. That's it. I feel like
That's
I
it.
didn't even see it.
Just like that, yeah. Just like that, man. But the
And
craziest thing is now Dame can go anywhere. Dame can go anywhere now.
we'll not talk about that today.
Imagination,
We're not
dude.
gonna talk about that. But
The
again,
power of
he is
imagination.
out for basically the next season, and
Mm.
it's gonna take a while to get back to that form. So I think I believe this was an agreement between Damian Lillard and the Bucks organization. This was, of course, they already talked about this, but Damian Lillard, we don't know where he's gonna be. He might not be. He might come back. We don't know,
You
right?
don't know.
And the next team here, Tan, on the East, that's making the right moves, which is very interesting. That they're part of this is the Atlanta Hawks, right? They
Mhm.
they started with a Porzingis trade, which everyone was like, oh, that's kind of a big trade. But what else did they get from this first week of free agency?
Yeah, they got one of the best players in the playoffs. Nikhil Alexander Walker signed for 4 years.
Ooh.
And then they got Luke Kennard and yeah, Kristaps Porzingis from the trade. And I think they just needed little bits of pieces because they've been on this slow rising trajectory. Although they finished like the ninth in the East, they have some good young talent.
Mm-hmm.
They have Zachary Risachet. They have Jalen Johnson, who I believe was injured. That might have contributed to how they played last season. Then you got almost a defensive player in Dyson Daniels. So I think they're building a good team there in Atlanta. And now they add a good 3-and-D guard in Nikhil Alexander Walker, who played really well during that Thunder Timberwolves
Yep.
series. Kennard, like I said, a good shooting. And then you still have Trae Young. Now, Porzingis is injury prone, but when he's healthy, he's a difference maker. He's a
Yeah.
in, interior defender and a shooter. So watch out for the Atlanta Hawks because everybody's sleeping on them right now.
Very much so. And Atlanta Hawks, they're always, I feel like, in the playoff contention. And I think this moves has, at least can kind of get them out of that play in. I have that
Mhm.
feeling. And again, the health is the problem here. So I think they just need to make a few more moves where they can also have a lot of depth in their bench, right, Dan? And
So,
the last two teams here, again, it's not a very much significant move, but I think these two names are, if you hear it, they're like, oh, there's gonna be a changer, right? New York Knicks got Jordan Clarkson for minimum, right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
it wasn't stated yet, but I think after the buyout from the Jazz, I think there's an agreement that they're gonna connect with together. Yeah.
Yeah, but for those who don't know, again, we talked about waiving, buyout, all that kind of stuff. If you got buyout or if you got waived, that team was still paying you. So a lot of these players who goes to a different team, they're basically getting an additional money, and that's why another team can give them some kind of discount. Like let's say for veteran minimum, which is around like 1.6 now or 2.3 million. I don't know how much it is now. I don't know. There's so much inflation with contracts now. But this is why this is a good move because they haven't lost anyone, right, Tan? They lost their
Yeah.
coach, but New York Knicks hasn't lost a player. And this team was stacked on their on their five starters. And now they got basically a former six man with Jordan Clarkson. Might I say the second best Filipino in the league right now?
Yes.
If you don't know why, watch the other segment. But this is a great move from New York, and someone was saying Jordan Clarkson in the New York's uniform seems perfect. I'm excited to see where this goes, Stan.
Yeah.
And this last team from the East, I'm excited to see this, Stan. Tell us the deets.
Yeah, so the Cleveland Cavaliers did not re-sign Ty Jerome, he
Ooh, big
wasn't the
loss.
sixth man, right? Was he?
He was on the contention.
He wasn't the sixth man, but he was like the second guy coming up.
Mm-hmm.
And instead, they traded Isaac Okoro, who did not play a lot for them,
Mm-hmm.
for Lonzo Ball, the guy who famously said his brother is going somewhere, and then he became that guy
He
who
was
got
the one.
traded. So I don't know, man. But yeah, they got a backup point guard who is got got a knee injury, I believe,
Mm-hmm.
that and hasn't come back with his
100% there, but
Isaac Okoro got. I mean, Chicago got Isaac Okoro. So
yeah, and Cavaliers here again. They were top one, right, on the
yes,
East. They were number one in the East. They have another chance to go to that number one, and we'll see where that goes. And I think Lonzo Ball, it's his first time being on a basically a playoff team, and I think he's a great addition no matter what. Right, he can actually prove himself. He has pieces that he can, bounce around some passes. He can play defense, right, and this is a guy that needs to prove himself, and I think this is a great spot for him in Cleveland. Right, Tan? And again,
yeah.
the free agency has just started. There's so many more moves. And if you don't know or if you haven't followed anyone, keep sticking with us. Subscribe with us so you know what's happening, Tan.
Yes,
Any last
sir.
thoughts with this?
Yeah, if while subscribing to us, you can also follow Shabs because he got all the stuff.
You got all the
He got all
deets,
the
man.
stuff, man. So
Shout
yeah,
out to
please
Shams.
like and subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe. But mga insans, next time ulit. Insans out!